Hi, everyone. My name is Jesse James Pierce. I was the stunt double for Henry Danger. So I was pretty much on set from the beginning, so pre-production. So before we started to roll until pretty much the last day.
And what was it like when you found out that you got this part?
Interesting story. So I was working at that point doing special skills background on another show called Fire Country. So I was a firefighter and I was driving to work and I had already applied. I sent my resume and my stunt reel over there and I got the phone call and I was actually almost about to head into work, and there's a shuttle that you take. And I was pretty excited about the fact that I got the part. So I didn't notice that the shuttle that I was jumping into was actually not for the production that I was supposed to be in. It was actually just a random dude sprinter van. So as I'm on the phone with the coordinator telling me, you know, can you lose a bit of weight? Like, are you going to be good to go for the next 3 months? I had somebody pushing me outside of his sprinter van saying, like, what are you doing? So that was interesting. That's where I was when I found out. But yeah, after that, I kind of did my last couple of days on that show and then started preparation for Henry Danger, the movie.
So, in the movie, we see many stunts.
Uh-huh.
What was the most challenging for you to perform in the movie?
I think the most challenging one, it read a little different in the actual film than how we shot it, was crashing through the wall. So if you watch the show, you'll see Ella's character, so Piper, flying into Henry Danger and then crashing through the beginning of the wall and then through a series of walls over and over and over again. And then it cuts to Henry saying, "That's a lot of walls, Missy." And then some other stuff happens and then he crashes out on the other side. So how we shot that is just the beginning and the end. So we call it the A side and the B side. So we shot that all in one take. Um, Obviously, going through a wall, there's a lot of maybe some stress, right? Because you're literally going through a wall. Luckily, we had the opportunity to film a rehearsal. So I had a helmet on, I had elbow pads on, and we're connected to something called a ratchet. So it's a pressurized pulley system where somebody just pushes a button and then the pressure pulls us, me and the stunt double for Piper through the wall. Yeah, luckily, the wall itself is made out of a specific wood. It's called balsa wood. So it's not that hard. And it was plaster over top of that. And what they did is they kind of took a knife and they scored it. So they made it a lot softer. The one that we did on the rehearsal was a little bit different than the one that we did on the day. The one on the day, the other side, so the B side of the stunt, they put wallpaper on and the wallpaper had a glue to it. So the glue in the wallpaper was actually the hardest part that I went through. Like the beginning of the wall was actually quite soft, but the other part of the wall, so the B side, was the impact was harder than it was in the rehearsal. So that was probably the most challenging. Just, yeah, like knowing that you're going to be going through a wall is kind of different, but it was a lot of fun.
The scene where you fly through the walls, how much
Mm-hmm.
CGI was there? So,
Yeah, that's a good question, right? So we have the A side and the B side. The A side and the B side are both practical. So the beginning of the wall and the end of the wall, that's a real wall. The middle part, where Henry's going through multiple walls, was shot on a green screen. So Jace was kind of sitting on, I think he was sitting on some sort of like block that was also green. And then the stunt double for Ella or for Piper was flying. So she was picked on, I believe, 2 points. And then they had a wind machine going. And they simulated the fact that they were going through walls, right? So, yeah, again, like the beginning and the end of that sequence was real, and then the middle was green screen.
So was there a particular stunt you're really proud of in the movie?
Yeah. So there's another sequence where Jace's character drinks celery soda and turns into a character named Lord Lolly. Lord Lolly then gets picked up by a very large man by the name of Andre Tricketu. He's the guy who plays Coach Craig. And he throws me for quite a ride into some bar stools. So that was just a fun stunt to do because I got to work with the rigging team. So in stunts, we're connected to lines, right? So we have harnesses and we have various points on those harnesses that we have the ability to be attached to. So that was a really fun stunt just to figure out, right? We figured out like how far away from the pulley do we need to be in order to make the stunt kind of look like a circle, but also look realistic enough, but also kind of fun, right? So yeah, we were just playing around with where I was going to get picked. So we ended up being picked on, or I ended up being picked on 4 points that were connected to 1 point that was connected to a pulley, probably, I think it was 12 feet away. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. We got to rehearse that in the studio, in the rehearsal space first. Then we actually went to Shimmer and we rehearsed it a few times there. We had a day of rehearsal there. And then, yeah, then I got to put that really cool wig on with that really awesome outfit. And actually, we only did that one once. So, yeah, it worked out really, really good.
So you had many rehearsals. How did you prepare for these stunts?
Yeah, I mean, so there's production and there's pre-production, right? So when we come on, yeah, I had 2 really, really good people to help me out. So Andrew was the coordinator, Andrew Chin, and Yusuf Ahmad was the fight coordinator. So they've worked together on other productions, and their relationship is very how do I want to put this, like dynamic and cohesive. They kind of they work amazing together. So first of all, having that kind of support was really beneficial. Coming in, kind of the process looks like what the director's idea is and how we can help the director get to that point. So first, we have kind of brush strokes what we want, let's say, a fight scene to look like, right? We then do some basic choreography that works, and then we film it, sometimes just with an iPhone, just to capture the preliminary footage. When we start working on refining it and adding some extra stuff, then Yusuf comes out with his camera and he shoots something called a previs, or a pre-visualization, which then gets sent over to the director, to the producers, and they give us some feedback. Once we feel like it's pretty dialed in, we definitely have a time restraint, right? Certain fights need to be done in a week, certain need to be done in days. Once they feel confident with it, that's when we have guys like Jace coming in or Ella coming in and working on the scene. So we take them through it. We kind of get them used to what it's like to move and fight for film, because it's not the same as fighting in real life. So yeah, and then work on that specific scene, or like work on stunt scenes probably for 2 weeks or sometimes 3 weeks, and then we're ready to shoot. So that's the process. Mm-hmm.
So what was your favorite memory on the set or on this whole project?
Honestly, the entire crew was just awesome. like every day was just a fun day to come into work, because it's not very often that you get to be a superhero, you know. It's not very often that you get to put on a suit that they made specifically for you. Like I had my own suit, Jace had his own suit. So in terms of like a favorite moment, I think that every moment that I was there was just a really, really cool opportunity. And yeah, watching it in theaters last week was also a really cool opportunity to actually sit in the big screen and see how the movie turned out, which we're all really proud of.
So one last question I just got. Is there a certain point where you say Jace plays the stunt and where you play the stunt?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, obviously going through a wall or getting thrown into bar stools, definitely not, right? There's definitely some times where we want to protect, you know, the most important, or one of the most important pieces of the show. So most of the stuff that we did with Jace was fight orientated. So like 90% of the fighting that you see on that show was Jace. So getting Jace up to speed, making sure that he was delivering and like realistic, and I think that we did a really good job. So in terms of those stunts, the fighting stunts, yes, Jace was doing the majority of them, right? Yeah, I mean, there's like just some little stuff like him coming out of the water, you know, when he jumps in. That I don't know if that would be considered a stunt, but that's like more difficult to do because the water was cold. And he could have easily been like, okay, Jesse, you can do it. But yeah, he definitely rose to the challenge. Yeah, again, I'm just excited for the opportunity to help train. I think the final product was something that we're all proud of.
So thanks for taking time, and I hope you have a wonderful rest day.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do, man. You have a good day too.
Thank you.
Henry Danger, der Film. Diesen Februar ruft die Gefahr nach einem Helden.